in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. I, of course, am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 6 in the National Football League. San Diego Superchargers taking on the Oakland Raiders. And I thought this was going to be a barn burner. Look, this is family business. And I talked about this in the preview for this game. I said that I expected the Raiders to stand up to the challenge. New head coach, new atmosphere. Tony Sparano has these guys believing in a different principle. Guys are going to start to play better football. Guys are going to play for one another. And even after the game, he said there are no moral victories in this league. And so it's a different mindset in Oakland right now. And I expected them to come out and play that type of way. And I have a lot of respect for Tony Sparano. What he did in Miami as a head coach, I felt like there were a lot of good things that he could bring and a lot of good qualities and traits he could bring to this Oakland Raiders football team, and I expected them to come out. And the Raiders always, no matter, despite the record, they always played the San Diego Chargers tough. In fact, last year, they beat this Chargers team in this very game in Oakland, and so I knew that this was a distinct possibility. You look at it from the Chargers' perspective, look, this is a trap game. If there's ever a trap game on the schedule, it looks just like this one. It smells just like this one. I always caution teams like the Chargers in situations like this where you're playing a divisional foe that's winless on the season and you're the hot team. Don't go after the cheese. Leave it there, okay? You can eat somewhere else. Leave the cheese alone. Don't bite the bait. So this was a trap game. Chargers, try your best to not fall into the trap. Let's check this game out, and what a game it was. And it started with a bang. 77-yard Andre. What up, Holmes? Touchdown to start the game off at 7-0. Raiders in this football game. Holding penalty, and these are the type of things that holds a team like the Raiders back. When you're 0-5 on the season, these are the type of things you do to remain winless on the season. Terrell Brown with a holding penalty. It's third down. Raiders are about to get off the football field. Holding on Terrell Brown gives Phillip Rivers a fresh set of downs. And we all know the potential MVP of this league does not need an extra set of downs. He's already good enough with the downs that he has. You give him an extra set when he doesn't need it. And this is what he does. 29 yards to Eddie Royale for a touchdown. It's 7-all in this football game. We head to the second quarter. 12 plays, 85 yards. And it's one of these typical textbook, methodical, wear you down type drives for the San Diego Chargers. This is what they do best when they grind you into an oblivion, eat up the clock, and win that time of possession game. And this wears on you. It's like a body blow. They call it putting money in the bank in boxing. And I'm a huge boxing fan. And so this is what this is equivalent to. Putting money in the bank for later on, and you'll see this pay dividends later on in the football game. But this 12-play, 85-yard drive ends in a 5-yard Malcolm Floyd touchdown. It's now 14-7. San Diego up in this game. The 4-car throws a beautiful ball to Andre. What up, Holmes? For a 30-yard grab, which sets up a 6-yard James Jones touchdown. And the 4-car was sharp early, man. I tell you what, he was turning those corners. Very sharp was the 4-car, and he had this Raiders team believing that they could steal one in this football game. It's now knotted up at 14 apiece. Seabass, and this is becoming a trend with Seabass. And I used to be accustomed to Seabass knocking home 50-yard field goals like they were nothing. And now all of a sudden, and again, it all goes back to, your punter, King, and whether he's a good holder or not. I don't know if I'm going to blame, Marquette King or not. But I just know that Seabass can't seem to make a far field goal anymore. I don't know what it is, but at 53 yards, supposed to be elementary for Seabass. Couldn't knock it home. He pushes it to the left as you go to the halftime break, knotted up at 14 with this Chargers football team. That could have been a huge boost going into the locker room. Hey, we're up on the San Diego Chargers At the half, 17-14. Instead, it's 14 all, and Seabass can't convert the field goal. So we go to the third quarter. After a lengthy drive, San Diego has a 54-yard Steve Novak field goal negated, or excuse me, Nick Novak field goal negated by a holding penalty. Then to make matters worse, they try a fake punt. And this was the worst fake punt I've ever seen in a game. It'd be one thing if it was 4th and 4. You try fake punts on 4th and 4. You know, on 4th and 2. You don't try a fake punt after you get a holding penalty that pushes you out of field goal range. That means you need a holding penalty is 10 yards, first of all, on the offense. So that means you need over 10 yards to convert. Now, if there's a wide open gunner, you can just throw him a pass, fine. You want to do that, knock yourself out. This guy was guarded, and Eric Weddle launched the football out of bounds. It was a terrible fake punt attempt. Anyway, I just didn't agree with it. It was not the right time for it, but whatever. Now the Raiders have great field position, and the Raiders made the Chargers pay for giving up that great field position, as you get Bryce Butler, who was a huge revelation in this game, a guy that couldn't seem to see the field with DA as the head coach. All of a sudden, Tony Sperano gets, the interim job, and he gives Bryce Butler a chance. And all of a sudden, Bryce Butler is out making plays, including this 47-yard touchdown on an option route. It's a Z out. He goes in, comes back out, catches it, and turns on the Jets. We all heard about how fast this kid was coming out of USC. You finally got to see it on this particular play as he turned on the burners, got in the end zone, and gives the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders, a 21-14 lead in this game. But the Chargers did not waste any time responding as Malcolm Floyd goes up and grabs a 44-yarder right in front of Uncle Charles that sets up a 1-yard OG 85 touchdown off of a deflection. It is now knotted up at 21 in this football game as we head to the fourth quarter. This game is turning out to be a dandy. Raiders trying to steal one as they embark on a 7-play, 51-yard drive that concludes with an Andre "What up, Holmes" 28-21 lead for the Raiders in this game. Andre Holmes getting in on the 6-yard touchdown. Beautiful play by the 4-car to scramble out of the pocket, buy some time, not giving up on the play. Andre Holmes giving his quarterback a approachable target, and he gets him the football in the back of the end zone. Beautiful throw, beautiful catch. Everything on the play was beautifully executed. Raiders up 28-21. Could it be the Raiders stealing one in the O.co? Could it be Raiders giving the Chargers a tough loss in the division? Could happen. Let's see how this game wraps up. A 21-yard screen to Brandon Oliver, and he was huge in this game. He continues to be a huge revelation for this Chargers team. In the face of all of these injuries at the running back position, he's been a guy that has come in and they have not missed a beat at the running back position. Over 100 yards rushing in this game. We'll talk about that in a second. But a 21-yard screen on this possession sets up a chip shot field goal for Nick Novak to cut the lead to 4. Chargers now down 28-24 in this ball game. After the Raiders go 3 and out, Keenan Allen, who's now on punts because Eddie Royal is banged up in the game, Keenan Allen goes back and has a nifty punt return, setting the Bolts up in Raiders territory to start the possession. Brandon Oliver, and I talked about that money in the bank early on with that 12-play, 85-yard drive. Well, now this Raiders defense is starting to get tired. They've been on the field numerous occasions in this game. You know how this Chargers team does. They wear you out with that offense, and they put you into the grinder, and they started to grind this Raiders team, and Brandon Oliver started to get yards on the ground. He started to churn out some yards, and they were grinding it out on the ground. And they get down to the 1-yard line, and Brandon Oliver polishes off the drive with a 1-yard TD plunge. It is now 31-28. San Diego Superchargers in this game. Can they hold on and preserve the victory and get to 5-1 on the season? Or will the Raiders be able to drive the length of the field, either tie this game up or win it in regulation and hurt the hearts of the San Diego Chargers in this football game. So Derek Carr and the Raiders embark on one final possession, one final drive to see if they can either tie this game, send it to overtime, or win it in regulation. Raiders are on the move with the football. They pick up a couple of first downs, and then the Ford Carr goes for the home run. He goes for the jugular vein. He goes for the kill shot. And the rook, Jason Verrett, comes down with a beautiful interception, grabs it, puts it away, gets 2 feet down, falls out of bounds as he raises his arm in victory as the San Diego Superchargers come out with the thrilling 31-28 victory on the road within the division. It was a tough matchup. We all expected it to. I know you Chargers fans out there were sweating bullets, but that's what family business is all about. And those are the ones you got to find a way to get. If you're trying to win this division, if you're trying to be one of the upper echelon teams in the AFC, you're going to have to get the ugly ones just as well as the cute ones, man. And this was a big one. You had to have it. You went out and got it. Huge win for the San Diego Chargers on the road within the division. It was a trap game. You didn't bite the bait. And they tried to get you to bite it, but you didn't bite the bait. If you're the Raiders, I told a buddy of mine who's a huge Raiders fan this same thing that I'm about to tell you. I want to see this Raiders team. This was family business. This was expected, okay? I expected you to play well in this football game. What I want to do is see you play well against a non-AFC West opponent. And that's going to be the next week's opponent. So perfect opportunity for me to find out how good you really are under Tony Sparano when you have the Arizona Cardinals and your ex-buddy, Carson Palmer, come into town. Can you play this type of football 2 weeks in a row and play it against a team that you don't know all too well like you do the San Diego Chargers? This week, to me, until you do it again, was an aberration. You do it again next week against the Arizona Cardinals, a team that you don't play very often, that you don't know like the back of your hand. You can do this again, then I have confidence that Tony Sparano is getting through to this team and that the Raiders are going to be a different outfit moving forward for the rest of the 2014 season. That's going to do it for Chargers and Raiders. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back and join me as I've got plenty more games to break down in week number 6 of the National Football League. See you in a bit. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.